this is my reflection on the past week from January 4th to the 10th. So I'm going to start trying to do these a little bit differently for the videos. I'm going to try to really briefly go over kind of the stuff I wrote and then and specifically like what goals I did and didn't accomplish, and then focus more like qualitatively on how it went and like kind of what some of my other general reflections and experiences were. So with that, so my 3 wins for the week were getting on a schedule on that 5:30 a.m. wake up time, getting my one sheet done and then using it every morning and night, and then doing a nightly check-in each day. Second was fleshing out my website, which included adding a media section, 90-day and monthly goals, adding a routine section with my negative routines and my positive routines, updating the about section to be more clear about what I'm hoping to get out of it and how I'm hoping people will engage, and then redesigning the layout, which I'm especially happy with and worked pretty hard on, or worked for a while on at least. And then next was designing my environment in terms of assembling my desk chair and also a normal chair for doing exercise on the desk cycle from the desk cycle, buying and putting out a mat to protect my floor from the chair, and a headphone adapter, which I got instead of new headphones because we have a bunch of old headphones that I can use since I have the adapter. Sorting and deleting files from my computer and updating the software and changing the background from like the stock background to a picture of a Rainbow Coalition meeting with like Fred Hampton and Chacha Jimenez and someone from the SDS or Join, which is very fun. And then the 4th win was adding to my routines mental health practice skills, which was 4 diaphragmatic breathing, safe place visualization, cue controlled relaxation, and mindfulness of sound. Adding a cleaning routine, which is like putting and throwing away, like decluttering and cleaning up, sweeping, and then a rotating task every evening. And then adding 15 minutes of cardio to my exercise routine. And then next was how am I feeling about my Keystone self and future self. I'm going to skip this for now because I want to talk about it more. And then, so my basically did accomplish my goals for the week. My frog goal for the week was getting on a schedule, and I did that completely. I checked all the boxes for that. The one time once I started waking up at 5:30 that I woke up late was because I had accidentally, or rather forgotten to turn my alarm back on after turning it off when I got up early the day before. And even in that case, I woke up at 6:45 and like waking up before 7. I mean, I was annoyed about it in the moment, but overall, like, I don't feel bad about it. Like that I woke up on my own that early felt good. So I feel really good about that. My other 2 major goals were actually 3. And I didn't do all of them exactly as I imagined. I had to modify them or miss small parts, but I got like the essence and the important parts of each. So fleshing out my website, the only thing I really didn't get to was measuring my hamstring flexibility and max plank holds, and then adding that to the routines page to have a baseline. And then otherwise, I decided not to make a video and a written blog post for every single thing. So I chose to do like one or the other, which was not something I'd planned for, but I think was a really good change. Second, what I missed as far as working with my environment, external circumstances, was I didn't organize my computer to the level I'd intended. I just did like kind of a first level of detail pass, not sorting stuff beyond what was like relevant or irrelevant. And then I didn't hang my color changing lights, and that doesn't feel like a big deal because now that everything else is kind of organized and decluttered, they don't feel like they're taking up, they don't feel like a part of the clutter anymore. It's still an eventual goal, but it's not a priority. And then third was updating my routines. So my plan for doing like a chapter of the DBT every workbook a day didn't work. It took me like 4 or 5 hours to do each chapter, or not really, like 5 or 6, and like that was exhausting, and rushing through it at that point, it didn't make a lot of sense, and I wouldn't have time to do anything else. But I did feel like I got the important thing out of it, which is I worked through the first couple chapters and then did most of the prep work to be able to just actually work on the content of the book going forward. And I pulled out 4 skills to practice every day from the part of the book that I did get through, which was like the first chapter and a half, a little over that. And then with my cleaning task, the way I like was setting aside 10 minutes didn't give me enough time to do the rotating task. So I did like the sweeping and putting away almost every night, but I didn't do the rotating task that often. I just hit it 2 of the nights. And then I did add the cardio, as I said before. So some things that worked well this week were setting time limits for my goals. I didn't execute this very well, but it was helpful when I did. Moving my bedtime gradually, using my one sheet, expanding my nightly routine to give myself kind of time to wind down, and then trying to be flexible with my goals, and then chunking intimidating tasks into smaller ones. And then some things that were frustrating or didn't work is the video I filmed. I had to shoot twice because the first time when it was almost finished, but like definitely still in the middle of it, my phone ran out of room, and so it stopped recording, and I don't know how to edit. And so I just filmed the thing again. I felt like repeatedly I found myself getting more frustrated, working more slowly and less efficiently, and less disciplined as my days went on. And then my time estimates for how long it would take me to get my goals were really off. I took a nap one day, and I was so mad about that because I was trying to get my sleep schedule right. And then it seemed like one thing that happened a lot is whenever I got off my schedule, it would like throw the whole rest of my day into chaos, like more than it really needed to, given that I don't have external commitments. So I could have adapted better, but it just like kind of threw me into, tailspin is over dramatic, but it definitely threw me off. I didn't take breaks when I was trying to do the DBT work for hours at a time, and that just like made it so hard. And also like I didn't think through really trying to rush the mental health work. I think the baseline for my thinking was that I had done like an intensive outpatient program that was like a ton of mental health skills work and development every week. But then I didn't actually like do the math on that. Like that was like 3 times 5 hours, 3 times a week, 5 hours a day. So like 15 hours total. And the way I was trying to do it would have been like double that. And I think there's real limits on like how much you can push through that and like how effective it is to do that work in such mass volume. And then the other thing is being kind of like dogmatic or resistant to making changes, where I just have like rules or ideas in my head that like aren't working or aren't true, but I have trouble letting go of it or take longer to do so than I should. So like one day I had decided I was going to work in silence, but then there was a bunch of like distracting noises from the rest of the house, but I refused to like turn on some like music to drown it out. and I just like made myself more distracted and annoyed. And then just really struggling with perfectionism, like with the site, I know in my head that the point is not to have it be perfect or even like very polished. But then like when I'm actually working in practice, it's very hard to not go really slowly. And then third was like resisting changing my DBT goal and schedule a day longer than I should have. Like after the first day when the chapter took me like 5 hours, I could have called it and been like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. But I made myself suffer through like another 5 hour block of it. Again, not just 5 hours, but with no breaks. And that was like, yeah, I could have seen that coming. So I want to be more thorough about chunking and prepping my project work for the day so that I can really get in to the core of the work when I start it that day. So doing that stuff ahead of time. Now that I've got the wake up time, I want to be stricter about enforcing bedtime. And then I want to make a list of like common like dogmas I have in my head with and have it written out and like have a concrete response to each one where it's like and read it like before I start my project work day every day, and then track how long my videos are going on my phone so that I don't have to film things twice anymore. And then I'm gonna try moving my cleaning routine like I did my nightly check-in to like the end of my project day before dinner so that I have more energy for it. And also to instead of giving myself a firm time limit, it's just gonna be the practices and then whatever task I choose. And then finally, scheduling out full project work days, because this is a thing where I would set time limits for myself, but I had expected to go over in the aggregate, and so I'd left myself time. And then after I went over the first time, I'd rotate through all my goals, and then I just like took way long on them once I was making the second pass all over again. And set time limits for like second passes as well as first passes. So what I really wanted to talk about with this one was another thing I did this week was I started listening to like an educational podcast during the day, during my morning and evening routines when I was like stretching or exercising, something where I could like listen to something while doing it. And that was really helpful because it solved some of that sense of conflict between my Keystone goals and like my long-term interests and goals, like future self stuff. And so by like giving me time where I was doing both, and also there wasn't, so I felt like I was getting that educational, like political education every day too, not even when I was like focusing on personal stuff. And then today I had this really cool experience of the podcast I listened to made me really upset. And then I had to tried to use my like mental health skills, which are mostly like mindfulness and distress tolerance skills that I was working on to try and like help me with that. And like it was really hard, and like in a lot of ways it just made my mental health skills practice like brutal and not feel that effective. But even though that was that happened, it like really connected and sent home for me like that the working on the mental health stuff is valuable and in like a concrete way. So that was really affirming. The other thing, like, it's crazy how long these weeks feel. I forgot like how like a week ago feels way more than that, and it feels like each day I don't think I hardly had a single day where I met all the goals I set for myself that day. And so I'm feeling like, oh, I didn't get that much done this week. And then I look back and I'm like, at where I was a week ago and like all the stuff I did do in the last week, and I'm like, holy crap. And so that's like good to realize that in the face of feeling like I didn't get enough done. But also, like, I want to be mindful that, like, I want to be hitting what my goals are for the week, and I want to, in the long term, be calibrating my goals to be where I'm hitting them or falling just short of them, that I'm pushing myself to hit them, but like in the ballpark rather than like falling significantly short of them. But that was still really cool. It was validating after feeling like it was a hard week. Like I had forgotten that my frog goal for the week was just to get on a schedule, because I'd been so on top of that for like, I guess only like 3 or 4 days, but it felt like so long at that point. I feel locked into it. So I was like, oh crap, that was my number one goal. I was all over that. So that was a really nice feeling. Yeah, so that's my reflection for the past week.